What's up, y'all? My name is Miss Lise and I'm back for another video. We're going to talk about overthinking. Listen, so we all do it. Overthinking is that running commentary in your head, usually is criticizing you, picking apart the things that you said or someone else said or that you did or someone else did. And maybe it made us feel bad, angry, anxious, or even scared. And so now we're all caught up in what we think is waiting for us in the future. This is where we find ourselves picking apart the decisions that we've made, or maybe that one decision that we're looking to make in the future. Maybe we're like rereading text messages like, wait, what? What did they mean by that? You know, doing that over and over again. I sure have. Or we get stuck in thinking patterns like, what if this happens? What if that happens? I should have done this. I should have done that. And we really get caught up in that cycle. We might even be having trouble sleeping because we're thinking so much, or like we're trapped in like the worry zone. Worst of all, we're unable to 100% be ourselves because we're so consumed in overthinking about what someone else, what other people think about us. Whew, my goodness, I'm exhausted just by running through all that. Imagine doing this like every day, all day. And I know a lot of you have experienced that. And not everybody overthinks. We all do things very differently. A lot of our overthinking comes from ants. Okay, not the real ants, but automatic negative thinking or automatic negative thoughts. It's usually that knee-jerk reaction to situations that are happening in our lives. So we are emotional reactive creatures. Some of us emotionally react on the outside, and then some of us react on the internal. And the reason these thoughts are automatic because usually they come fast and they come from old default systems and beliefs. And what I mean by that is things that we're absorbing in our environments. And we learn how to deal with conflict or deal with things in our lives based on who's around us and who's having an impact. So really it's up to us to change that and to interrupt that. So what do I mean by default settings? So for example, when you get a new computer or a new phone, what do, right? We go quickly, we update things, we update the software, we change the wallpaper, we change our settings. We do all these things to kind of like, to dress it up, right? To make it stronger, faster, more space, more memory. But we don't do that for ourselves, right? We are born into this world with all these default settings that are often implemented from other people's perspective, and we just go off into the world like that. We don't ever think of, oh, let me change this setting, and oh, let me replace this setting with that setting. You have to interrupt the thoughts, or they'll take you and whisk you away into the never-ending land of worry, fear, and anxiety, and we don't want that. So how do we change the default settings of our overthinking? You first have to become self-aware. That seems okay, logical enough, right? But like, how do you do that? This means recognizing those thoughts, when they're happening, how often, why they're happening, and the why. We think about like the emotions behind the thoughts. What emotion is happening? Is it fear? Is it, if you're feeling anxious, that sort of thing. It can feel like a lot of work to kind of like sit there and jot these things down, but that helps you to get out of the default automatic thinking and feeling zones. And frankly, if you're not aware of something, how in the world are you gonna change it? Okay, so self-awareness. Challenge the thoughts that you're having, please, because 9 out of 10 times, they weren't your thoughts to begin with, right? Remember default settings? Where's the evidence for the thoughts that are going on in your mind right now? Ask yourself that. So challenge the thoughts that you're having. Are they rooted in evidence, or are they emotional distortions of the way that you feel about yourself or somebody else's viewpoints on you? So be honest with yourself about some of these things and make sure there's evidence. It's not just like made up stuff in your heads, because we do make up a lot of things in our heads. This also leads me to encourage you to look at different viewpoints, because often we have such a narrow-minded way of thinking and seeing things. So it's important for us to go outside of ourselves to see things a little bit different. And that's going to help reduce some of the overthinking and anxiety-related thoughts that you might be having. When you're overthinking, take a moment to pause and take some deep breaths, because right now you're all in your head, and it's so important to shift from being mental to in your body. And that could essentially stop the overthinking as well. There are different ways that you can do the deep breathing, and you do that very deeply. And that takes you out of your thinking zone. Another step is when you're overthinking, take a moment to write down the things that went well. We're so used to shifting our lens into focusing on all the negative things that are happening, there's got to be something, whether it's like you woke up 5 minutes earlier than usual, maybe you were on time for class, maybe you actually completed that assignment. It doesn't need to be like huge accomplishments. Those small wins coupled over time feel really good. And while we're doing this, what we're doing is retraining our brains to seek out the positive things in our lives. If you're constantly looking for all the negatives, then you're not going to be able to see those things. So train yourself to find the good stuff that's happening. Okay, you might not like this one, but you got to unplug, okay? Especially if you're really anxious and you're an overthinker, you have to create less screen time. Spending more time on your phone, gaming, all that stuff, you have to unplug and disassociate yourself from constant activity. So that means taking a moment to just get quiet, take a moment to take a walk outside, reconnect with like nature, just being able to breathe the air, be around some trees or something, but take some time away from the screen, okay? Because all that activity keeps our heads turning and wired. Sometimes you might be overthinking usually the same thing over and over again. It's because you haven't taken any action. You haven't taken any concrete steps towards resolving the thing that you're worried about. So sit down and think about some possible solutions. One thing I always say, every situation has a solution. The question is whether or not we like those solutions. We don't always need to like them, but there is a solution. Go from problem focused to solution focused when it comes to the things that you're struggling with. And then lastly, acceptance. Understand that there are so many things that are outside of your control. You're not going to be able to control everything. So part of this process is accepting the things that you can control and letting go of the things that you cannot. Learning how to accept this goes a long way when it comes to overthinking. Overthinking usually is a result of us wanting to control things, and we can't. Okay? So I hope these were helpful. Don't overthink this too much. Keep it simple. See you guys next time.